What's going on? Yep. It was weird today. It's like the sun was playing tricks on me. It was like because I was walking down the river towards the west, right, and the sun was in my eyes, man. Like no matter because it was reflecting off the river, and it was weird for a second. It was like the sun moved behind me, and it popped back out again. Uh, but what's weird? I've been reading this freaking Cochise book, and they were talking about they were they were asking that if the sun would go forth with him into battle. And just recently, I heard that in the Testament of the Patriarchs, in one of them, it says that Gad was blessed by the sun. You know what I'm saying? So anyone who's blessed by the sun probably is gonna have some melanin skin tone in them. Uh, you gotta have that. The darker skin resist the sun better, but that's kind of a smaller point. But in the book, the way that they ask the sun to go forth with them, and it's like, wait a second. Recently, I just started listening to Joshua again, and there's a part where it says, "Is this not written in the book of Jasher?" And it talks about the sun standing still and then actually moving for 10 degrees. Then it's staying in the same spot for 3 days, and it says, "No, God has never did this again for any other man other than this time." And that's freaking that's like hitting the freaking pause button on the celestial clock. You know what I'm saying? But once again, it's like, is this a simulation type of a like environment? You know what I'm saying? Even that kind of supports that. Yeah, this is kind of a matrix, and it's pretty crazy. But I'm wondering if all this sun reverence, it's not necessarily sun worship, but more or less, it's like, look, if maybe it comes from the time of Joshua and it was passed down in legends that a warrior who has like divine like I don't know. It's don't know what I'm trying to say here, but it's like if the sun is like even on their side, and I mean, like I said, this sounds real freaking mystical and like voodonish, but if you look at Joshua, then it kind of it's not always just because it sounds that way. It's not always, but not to say that there isn't some kind of sun cult stuff in there, but I'm just saying it's like, look, this is a overlap here, and I just kind of it just kind of jumped out at me because it only just so happens that I was looking at these things all at the same time, and they're all fresh in my mind, and then it's like it clicked because of the patriarchs talking about Gad being blessed by the sun. And also in Joshua, right before that, he tells the Gadites, the Reubenites, and the half tribe of Manasseh, it's like, you already got your lands, and if you want God's blessing to stay in your lands, you got to come with us and fight to let all your other brothers all have their inheritance as well. So I mean, it's these are some topics here. You know, like I said, that Testament of Patriarchs isn't the canon of Scripture, but yet they're extra biblical texts. So there's gleanings from these things. Or like there's a book called Gad the Seer that I didn't know about. Like before prophets were called prophets, they were called seers. Like Samuel was known as a seer as well as a prophet. Uh, and in the Indian culture, there's a lot of the belief in prophecy, like, is very prevalent. But I know demons also have the ability to prophesy. Not to say that all of it is God inspired in all cases, but that doesn't mean that some of it could be. You know what I'm saying? I can't prove it, but there's a lot of overlaps, especially when you look at Numbers and Leviticus, and then you look at some of the Indian customs. There's a lot of overlay.